Welcome to the WP Builds podcast, bringing you the latest news from the WordPress community. Now, welcome your hosts, David Wormsley and Nathan Wrigley.
Hello there and welcome to the WP Builds podcast. This is episode number 189 entitled Let Us Take Care of Your WordPress Websites so that you can keep building them. It was published on Thursday the 23rd of July 2020. My name's Nathan Wrigley, and just a few bits and pieces before we begin, if that's all right. I'm encouraging people to share WP Builds at the moment. I'm finding it to be enormously gratifying when people do actually share the podcast. You can do that in any which way you like, on Facebook or Twitter. If you do go on Twitter, we have @WP Builds or hashtag WP Builds. That would be most helpful. But another primary way that I'm suggesting is if you use a podcast player and there's a review system in there, so for example, Apple Podcasts, please make use of that. Any reviews that we get on Apple Podcasts do seem to make a substantial difference, and so I'd really appreciate that very much indeed. Head over to wpbuilds.com. Over there you'll find a menu at the top, and possibly the first thing to look at is the subscribe link. On that page you'll be able to sign up to our newsletters. We've got two, one for deals and one for content that we produce. There's also options to find our YouTube channel, find our Facebook group of over 2,600 very friendly WordPressers. It's a very, very, very polite and friendly group. And there's also options to download the podcasts onto your favourite podcast player. Another page I mention is wpbuilds.com/deals. That is a searchable, filterable list of WordPress deals, significant amounts off WordPress products. That could be themes, hostings, plugins, that kind of thing. And they're there 365 days of the year. So if you're in the market, definitely make sure to check that out before you buy anything. Another thing to mention is that each and every week we produce a podcast. You're listening to it now. We also have the weekly WordPress news, which comes out on a Monday. And also on a Monday, we have a live version of the news. And you can find that in our Facebook group, which is wpbuilds.com/Facebook. Or you can find it on our live page, which is wpbuilds.com/live. It's at 2 p.m. UK time. And I'm always joined by 2 or 3 very friendly people in the WordPress space. And it's just a very nice live chat, and you can comment and make your voice heard. So that's every Monday at 2 p.m. UK time. Another thing that I'm doing at the moment is I'm chatting with Sabrina Zaidan. We've got this project. It's called 0 to 10,000 installs for our WordPress plugin. It's a novice's take on what it takes to launch a WordPress plugin. There's all sorts of information about other areas, but there doesn't seem to be much content out there about how to actually get your plugin noticed, what you could do to make sure that you have a good chance at the start when you launch your plugin. So join us. That's 2 p.m. UK time. And that's on a Tuesday, again at /live or in our Facebook group. And come and join in the conversation. We'd be very, very delighted to have you, especially if you're thinking about launching a plugin. Or, in fact, if you've launched a plugin, you could teach us something, because we're coming at this from a point of view of ignorance. We're learning on the job, if you like. The final thing I'll say before we start the podcast proper is head over to wpbuilds.com/advertise. If you have a plugin or indeed any WordPress product and you would like to get that in front of a WordPress specific audience, we can help you out with that. And a company that's done that is A/B Split Test. Do you want to set up your A/B split tests in record time, like in a couple of minutes? Use your existing pages and test anything against anything else. Buttons, images, headers, rows, really anything. The best part is it works with Elementor, Beaver Builder and the WordPress block editor. Check it out at absplittest.com. Okie dokie. Today, as I said right at the start, we have Brad Morrison on from GoWP. GoWP is a company which will take away the burden of having to maintain your WordPress websites. Perhaps you've got care plans, perhaps they're very profitable, in which case this might not be for you, but it may be upon further investigation that you look at your care plans and realise you're actually sinking loads of valuable time into the boring tasks, the things that really are probably not of great interest to you. I'm suspecting you got into this to build WordPress sites, not necessarily to spend time updating things and sorting out plugin conflicts and all of that sort of stuff. So GoWP will deal with all of that. Brad is on the podcast today to explain how the service works, what it will entitle you to, what it won't entitle you to, how much it costs, and also there is something quite new that they've brought out since we recorded this. They've got a new service called Page Builds, and for a flat monthly fee, they'll actually take away the burden of building the pages themselves. So there's an awful lot of content in here, so I hope that you enjoy it. Hello there. Thank you for getting to the interview part of the WP Builds podcast. Nice to have you around. Today I'm joined all the way from the USA, but I don't know where in the USA, is Brad Morrison. Hello.
Hey, Nathan. Thanks for having me. I am in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. I know where Atlanta, Georgia is. I once drove through it in the same year that they had the Olympic... they had the Olympic Games. And I drove through about 2 months before the Olympic Games, so it was like a building site, the whole of Atlanta.
Gotcha. Yeah. The Olympics really changed this area. So it's notorious now there's a lot of growth, but definitely traffic. So driving through is sometimes a challenge. So you should have won an award for that. It can be tough trying at times, especially rush hour.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. Brad is on because he has. I'm going to say he's the founder. Is that can we just establish? Is that right? Are you a founder? One of many founders? The founder?
Yeah, I'm the founder.
Okay.
Of course, we have a great team we've all kind of helped build this together. But we essentially ran a web agency for 10 years, and then about 5.5 years ago we transitioned to GoWP. But yeah, I'm listed as the founder and the chief happiness officer.
Oh, I like it.
GoWP.
Very nice. So the URL that you need to be looking at as this podcast goes on is gowp.com. So it's just, as you would imagine, 4 letters, gowp.com. Hey, how hard was that URL to get?
It was definitely a premium buy.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that was just available, but it wasn't as expensive as I thought it would be. So it worked out. But yeah, and it was a pretty painless process for acquiring a premium domain.
Okay, nice. Now, if you go to gowp.com and look at the page, you're immediately going to understand what it is that we're talking about. This podcast is squarely aimed at people who run WordPress businesses and have, let's say, multiple clients. I mean, I presume that you could use GoWP services if it was just you, but I think their offering is tailored very much for people who have multiple clients and, frankly, don't want to suffer the burden of updating, maintaining, supporting. They want to offload that responsibility to somebody else for a monthly or annual fee. So the strapline is white label WordPress maintenance and support, I should say. So my first question, proper question, I suppose, Brad, is why would anybody want to offload maintenance and support?
It's a great question, and there are so many tools that are out there that allow you to do maintenance kind of on your own, at least to a certain level. What we offer is we offer scalability. We offer the chance for an agency owner to kind of exchange what is important but lower value work, so that they can focus on higher value project work, higher value lead generation work, higher value partnership work, like the things that they want to do that make a huge impact to the growth of their agency. We have a team set up to take on the maintenance, to take on the content edits and support of the WordPress site after it's built. And so the fulfillment, when you outsource the fulfillment of that lower value work, you can really scale it up, and you can do it kind of on a per unit or per site cost, as opposed to having to invest in, an in-house team or even a contractor that may juggle priorities, not in the way that you as the agency owner want them to juggle priorities, but you can kind of do it with a very dependable quality team that can grow with you kind of on a per site basis.
Yeah. It's one of the things that has cropped up. It feels to me, actually, 5 years, the amount of time that you've been in business, it feels to me like that's roughly the amount of time that I've been banging on about things like website care plans and things like that. That's become a thing, part of the package. Now, we're often educated, shall we say, that website care plans are a good thing, and looking after the the support and maintenance of your own clients is a profitable thing, and I suppose there is some truth in that. But the sad truth is as well, it might be profitable until the tragic moment where something goes horrifically wrong, and you are then forced into this horrendous situation where you're scrabbling around for a solution that you don't know. You don't have the understanding of how to achieve it. Or something, a plugin has broken and maybe damaged the site in an irreparable way, or somebody's hacked it, or what have you. Is that kind of like the sweet spot? Is that where you're stepping in your, it's going to cost us some money, but you fully own everything that goes on with that site from the moment we start paying you?
Yeah, it is. And I think one thing that really helps with that is and I don't think a lot of tools and services that are out there do enough proactively. And that's something that we've tried to address is what can we take on proactively so that you don't run into those situations? And you can do that with automation and with tools and with good people. And so, like with our maintenance plan, we have the visual validator tool where we do visual regression testing when plugin updates are made, so that we know before you or your client does. So limit the risk of something going sideways is a great way to handle that. And I think in the WordPress maintenance space, it's evolving very quickly, and the hosting providers tend to be leading that. And then there are a handful of companies like ours that are doing this either for business owners or for agencies, and trying to push that and develop tools to do that even better. Because that's inherently the challenge with WordPress is it's this collection of WordPress core and then a lot of third-party code. And those developers didn't talk to each other when they built their plugins, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of a crapshoot sometimes if this is when something's updated, if it's going to work well with the other collection of third-party code that you're using on the site. So that's something we're very, very much focused on, is keeping the agency owner out of that position where they have to scramble to get the site back in working order and not only save face with the customer, but retain the customer, which is a lot of times something that we don't even account for in the cost of maintenance. Is maintenance can cause you to lose a monthly recurring payment and customer. Right. Which is huge. So
yeah, you mentioned, and I think it's kind of one of the coolest things that I've noticed about your platform is this visual validator tool. I think it would be worth spending a little bit of time on that, because I just think it's so clever. It takes, now I'm going to explain it, and then you're going to tell me everything that I said that was wrong. It takes, I'm guessing, continual or possibly snapshots prior to the update firing. So you, as the website, the person that built the website, or the person that owns the website, the client, if you like, you don't have anything to do with this. It's updated on your behalf by GoWP. They take a snapshot of some screens to see what they look like, pixel by pixel. Then they'll perform the updates, and assuming the updates have worked correctly, they'll take another screenshot. And with some clever jiggery pokery, they will determine if pixel by pixel everything looks just as it did at the end as it did at the beginning. And if not, you then fire up some kind of maintenance ticket before we even know anything's happening.
That's perfect, Nathan. That's you got it. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, we the tool comes through. We run it right now Monday through Friday during a set time because we do want to make sure like the maintenance team knows like this is when this is happening during this 3 or 4 hour block of time, and so that we have people available to just jump in immediately and resolve issues that happen when there is a visual problem. But that's what the tool does. The tool comes through, and we take right now 20 different screenshots of each website, and then we apply the plugin updates. We're also theme updates, automated theme updates is something that we're actually piloting right now. That's a little bit trickier because some themes are very outdated for one thing, and that's going to have a huge visual impact on the site. But there are themes that can be updated within the admin panel and have updated licenses, and it's something that we can do. So we are including theme updates in that as well. So plugin updates and theme updates. We basically apply those updates, and then we do the after screenshot on those same 20 pages. It's visually compared, and then we immediately get a notification if there is a visual change on the site, and then that's when the human touch comes in. And this is kind of something that's, I guess, different. What we do, if you're comparing, what we do with tools that are out there, there are tools that can provide visual regression on some level. There's some hosting providers that do that. I think one difference is we have always been a service. So some tools we build ourselves. Some tools we leverage. If we think there are other tools that are available that do even a better job than something that we can build, then we may take advantage of that. But it's really the people that are it's a service that we're proactively having the human touch to make sure everything's okay. And so we're notified. We jump in immediately and look, and we either roll the plugin back or we apply a patch. But in either case, we'll get the site back in working order, and we'll let the agency owner know what happened. And so it's kind of, again, proactive. We're taking care of it. It's not, oh, here's a problem, you need to go look into it. That's not what it is. It's us getting the site back in working order.
Yeah, it's such a nifty idea. I really like it. And the like you said, the pièce de résistance, the icing on the cake of that one is the end bit, the human interaction bit. I mean, it's all very well being notified that there's something wrong. That's lovely. I mean, it's useful. But then to actually notice that somebody's then fixed the problem is even better.
It's huge.
Yeah. Is there any sort of tolerance on that picture? So the snapshot that you create at the beginning and the snapshot you create at the end, I mean, is it working on a literal pixel by pixel level? So as an example, probably a ridiculous example, let's say that on a button, somehow the padding got increased by a pixel or 2 pixels or whatever on its border. Is that enough to trigger this kind of thing, or is it literally bits are missing? There's entire columns missing or rows missing or whatever?
Yeah, there is a threshold that we set on our side. I don't even know right now off the top of my head what that percentage is set to. Yep. It's something that we even kind of play around with based on false positives. And we have things built into it, like there's CSS exclusions and things, so that if there are things that rotate or change, we can kind of say, okay, exclude that area because we know it's going to be, or there's a high likelihood of it being different on the after screenshot. So we kind of finesse that and look at things on a site-by-site basis over time. But yeah, the threshold, the percentage would always say if it's 99.7% at the same, right, then we would get that notification and it would say that that's the percentage. It may not trigger the all-out, warning, hey, something is wrong with the site if it's below a certain threshold.
Got it.
But there is a threshold that we set.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
And yeah, one thing about this too is we actually have a dashboard plugin that sits in the admin panel of each website that we're maintaining, and which is white labeled as well for the agency. But all of the screenshots, so there's a log of every plugin update that we're doing, and it has a link to each screenshot for each day.
Right.
So the end client or the agency can dig in and basically look at the before and afters as well. It's for accountability, but it's also just so that the end client can see, hey, this is what's being done, and even have a better appreciation for what it means to do maintenance, which is sometimes something that is tough to convey.
Yeah, I like that. It's just like a custom post type or something with a list of fields inside the WordPress admin. And is it possible, are there permissions to, let's say, for example, you don't want your clients looking at those images. Can you switch them off on a per role basis?
You can, but not through our plugin. I would recommend another solution in order to hide certain things.
Yeah.
But
well,
yes.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's okay. You were talking about the fact that your engineers are triggering the updates on a certain schedule in order to obviously have somebody sitting in a seat at the time that the updates go out. Now, let's say, for example, that I am an Australian as opposed to somebody in your part of the world who is North American. Do you have these updates triggered at different times? Can I, for example, specify, okay, I live in New Zealand. I would dearly like to be awake when those updates are happening, just so that I can be on the phone or be available. I'm in Europe, I'm in North America, wherever I might be.
That's definitely on the roadmap. It's
Nice.
not something we do right now.
Okay.
So right now, we're going to do it. We start about 7 or 8 a.m. on our time, Monday through Friday.
Okay.
So it would definitely be overnight, and then towards the end of the day, for European customers, Australia, it would be overnight. West Coast, it's still kind of overnight, right? And then, but yeah, for East Coast, it's during our mornings is when that happens. But that is something that is on the roadmap. We've had active discussions about that, and it's something that we'll get to.
Okay, well, I mean, it makes perfect sense. As a business, in order to get this going, you need to be doing those updates at the time that suits you,
Yes.
because the whole intention is that I don't ever actually, need to interact with this stuff anyway. But I'm just interested to know if that was
Yeah,
was
sure.
a feature. It seems like a nice idea at some point in the future. Moving on to some of the other things that are sort of bundled into this, I am going to talk. I'll just so that you know what's coming. We'll talk about the security and the backups that you do, and
Sure.
and also the sort of the dashboard that you provide that people might be interested in knowing about, and also the limitations or the possibilities in terms of white labeling. But let's go back to first one that I mentioned, security. So I can well understand that if I ran GoWP, I would want to have things in place in order to protect all of those websites, because obviously if things start going wrong on the thousands of sites that you're managing, it's a nightmare for you. So you have a whole suite of things going on in terms of, well, broadly speaking, let's just call it internet security, that it would be important for us to know about. So do you want to just run through the things, the measures that you've implemented to try and protect sites? Yeah.
Sure, and it might be good also to mention that we are hosting agnostic. So, our sites, we have customers that host on their own hosting environments. We have some that host, WP Engine and Kinston, Flywheel, and SiteGround, and Cloudways, and on and on. If they're GoDaddy, if there's a hosting provider, odds are we support a site or maintain a site that's on that. And so there is sometimes some redundancy or overlap in the, I guess, general type of service, right? So WP Engine, for example, is going to have their things that they do for security. They're going to have their backups that they run, right? But we also do that, and we're doing that a different way and in a different place. And so the same with the visual regression, right? Testing visual validator tool. There are hosting providers that provide some of that in a limited way, but again, we do that across any hosting provider. So for security, and I would say the best, you can never have, as far as security goes, having that done multiple ways is a good thing, right? And having, WP Engine is going to have a vested interest in making sure their platform is secure as well, and so any hosting provider is. And so with backups, the same thing. You can never really have too many backups. There have been plenty of times we've had to you may start with the quick restore of like a Kinstar WP Engine, and if that's for some reason not working, or it's not the backup that we need, then we can revert back to, we can go down the next level, which is the offsite backups that we have, and we can restore from there. So having redundancy is a good thing. For security, this is really where I believe for backups and security. I think that's a good way to talk about this, because it's really the same service.
Okay.
So we actually leverage Blog Vault for backups and
nice.
Malcare.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, Malcare for security. We've tested and used some other tools for years, actually. About a year and a half ago, we switched over to Blog Vault and Malcare, and I think their solution is phenomenal. I love Akshat and the team at Blog Vault. They keep improving. The last couple of months, they have put out so many improvements and updates to their service or their tool, and it's just phenomenal. And so we include that, bundle that in with our service. And so you kind of got the plugin based like firewall, you've got the daily security scans, the cleanup, and then if we have to jump in and manually do cleanup or figure out what's going on, then our team is available to do that.
Right.
So that's how we handle security.
Yeah. And the backups you mentioned were off-site, I guess, in the sense that you'll create them somewhere. I don't know if they're stored in the directory of the installation itself, or if they're just socked up and put somewhere. But do you keep them for like a certain period of time, like a month or 7 days, or?
Yeah, we do 90 days of offsite backups, and again through Blog Vault, which is awesome. And one feature that I like that is included with their tool is that you can create a staging site from a backup.
Yeah.
And so you could pull a backup from 10 days ago and spin up a staging site. Again, works great for us since we're hosting agnostic. A lot of our customers may have one-click staging, but a lot don't. And so this kind of creates common ground for us to dig into issues. If we have to carry it to staging, we can say, hey, let's do it from yesterday's backup, spin it up and see what's going on, or create a quick backup right now and spin up staging from that, which is really cool.
Okay. How often are you doing things like your backups? I know that I think you said it was a daily backup, but just to be sure. But also things like the scans, are you trying to do this mostly on a 24-hour period? Do we have any control over that? Can we increase, decrease as we see fit? So, for example, if I'm a blogger and producing one blog post a day, very useful to have a backup every day. But if it's a site that I don't know, a brochure site which changes very, very infrequently, can I ramp that down a little bit as well? Or
we do it daily, and we do offer the real-time backups that Blog Vault offers as well. Yeah. Again, for like if it's a heavy use e-commerce site where restoring to yesterday's backup isn't going to cut it. Yeah. Using real-time backups would be the way to go. But yeah, it's daily scans and daily backups. Daily scans obviously ongoing, but the backups go for 90 days. So.
I guess if you go to Blog Vault or Malcare, you can sort of see the deep integrations that they've got for themselves, which is quite nice. And where do you actually keep your backups? Are they held in like a data center, like Google Cloud or Amazon and AWS or something like that?
Yeah, it's AWS, but it's through the Blog Vault service. Yeah.
Okay, right. Okay, great. Okay, so let's talk about what it would feel like if I was to actually go to GoWP and look at the pricing, which we'll come to towards the end, and I figure actually, you know what, this is for me. This is just what I need. I want to get rid of that burden. What do I do aside from signing up? How do I actually get this on my client websites? Is there a process that I've got to go through? Can that be automated from the GoWP backend? What's involved?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, and it's it's something that we continually try to make easier and revamp the process. It's a little different than just buying a widget, right? You're buying, it's a service, and it's a service where you have to share credentials and you have to, you're giving access to your client site. And so, yeah, the way this works is you essentially go to our website, you become a partner. Then that gives you access to our client portal. So it's just a quick free sign up to the client portal. And then when you're ready to add a site, you can do it on a site-by-site basis. So there's an order new services tab essentially within the client portal. So you log into your account, order new services, and then you click, I want to add a maintenance plan. And so then in the secure portal, there is a place for you to enter the domain of the site. And then we're going to ask for the credentials. So we need WordPress admin credentials. We need FTP credentials. So we have a handful of fields that are there that give us the information that we need in order to activate the site. So that is submitted, and then our team, and we also have a place, there are many sites that have modified plugins or modified themes and not done the WordPress way, that have been done incorrectly. And it's because a lot of times they've inherited the site. I mean, it's not the fault of the agency owner. It's just the site has kind of been passed around a few times. And 3 years ago when it was built, they couldn't find a better way to create a quoting engine, so they modified a plugin directly. And so if that plugin is updated, then it's going to override all of that customization. So we have in the field a place where you can tell us that information. If there's anything specific to the site that is going to be a problem, then we have a way, and it's actually in our dashboard plugin, where even on down the road, you or the client could log in and exclude a plugin from our updates. So there's a place to put some of that information in the form, and then you basically just place the order. Our team gets it, and then we make a backup. We bring all plugins up to date. We connect it to our Visual Validator tool. We connect it to Blog Vault and the ongoing backups and security scans. And then we send you a note that says, hey, we've got this moving forward. So this is what we're taking care of. Here's where you can view what we're doing. We can set up the ongoing reports to go to their client, to your client. And so it's just taken care of. And so you could then add, yes, like for pricing, we do volume discounts, but you can add those over time. And so you could just say, hey, I've got 3 more sites to add, and log in and add those 3 sites, and then we take care of it. So.
Right. I'm just trying to get it clear in my head. So let's say that I'm brand new, never used your service before, and I'm coming and I'm bringing over 10 sites. That sounds like a reasonable number. I'm gonna. So there's areas in the dashboard for me to enter admin username and password and SFTP, FTP, what have you, credentials. Do I then kind of leave it up to you, or is there a button to click, or do I have to go to those child sites, I'm going to call them, and install the sort of the dependency plugin, or can I leave that to you? And is the FTP details in order that the platform can do things, or is that simply so that your maintenance staff can do things with those credentials?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. So you don't have to do anything. Once you give us that info as the agency owner, we take care of everything. And then we would let you know that, hey, it's been activated. The FTP credentials are for connecting to the tool. For example, for the restoration, if we have to restore back up, we need SFTP info to do that. But then we don't really want to make even a content change on a website without having the ability to go back and roll back something that we do if we save something locally or whatever. So we don't really want to touch a website without having the FTP credentials also. WordPress admin is not enough.
Okay, so the process is basically done entirely by you. All I have to do is log in, set up my my business name or what have you with you, decide on the amount of sites I want to do, find those details locked away in multiple bits of paper are stashed on the walls, or hopefully something more secure like LastPass or something like that, and just hand them over and you'll do it. And I'm just intrigued because it sounds like a very human resource intensive business that you've got here, but presumably some of that stuff that you've just described is automated. The FTP details will be plugged in on your end, and it'll reach out to that website and install whatever it needs to install automatically.
Yeah, there's definitely some automation in place for that. We've got the activation process we've got down. And, there are times when a customer brings on 50, 100 sites, and, we may have to divide that over a couple of days to get that get up and running. Yeah. So, but that's usually the only time we run into that. And then the ongoing, that's the most labor intensive is the activations of those, because it's also a time where a lot of sites haven't, maybe they've been neglected, and we're always going to do a manual review when we bring those plugins up to date initially. So we're going to go and dig into the site and make sure, okay, this doesn't look right. This isn't the way. And so we may have to roll something back because it's been 2 years since this was updated on the site. So that process is definitely more labor intensive, but ongoing, we have a lot of automation in place, and smart automation where we can proactively be notified if there's a problem. We need the human touch. So
that's nice. In many ways, it feels like the kind of service that I would now. Please don't take this the wrong way. I hope this comes out the right way. It kind of feels like the sort of service that I would love to subscribe to and then kind of forget about, if you know what I mean.
Right.
You just sort of want to know that these guys, GoWP, they've got my back. I just want to let you get on with it. However, the dashboard that you present does enable you to interact should you wish. If you want to be the custodian of the data and examine exactly what's going on, you have got this dashboard which, upon current reading, the website's demonstrating sort of three areas. It's showing the history, I presume, of plugins and updates. It's showing the backups and how many of those have gone along, and any security things that have happened as well. I'm wondering if you would talk that through with us. But also, is any of this data, do you put any kind of like little reports together that we can send to clients, or is this just make it available to the clients in the WordPress admin and they can see all this stuff for themselves?
Yeah. So yes, we do. You'll see that real time in the dashboard plugin. But we do set up monthly reports that can go directly to your clients that have it really nice in a pretty format that says, these are all the updates we made last month, backup, security. These are how many bad guys tried to log into your site. And so, we give that report, performance, uptime monitoring, all of that. Yes, we send in a PDF format. But for the dashboard plugin, that's kind of a real-time log of those three areas: updates, backup, security. But we also have some other functionality built into the dashboard plugin. So there is a settings area, like under the updates, where you can, I mentioned that we take screenshots of 20 different pages. So imagine the scenario where we're just randomly pulling 20 pages. We may pick tag pages, author pages that are lower value. They're not the ones that, the homepage and all of your service pages, right? So we have an area that where you can actually specify the URLs that are included in the visual regression testing. So you could just literally paste the URLs on top of each other, and those are the ones that will take screenshots as we make plugin updates. You can also exclude certain plugin pages. So you could say, I don't want this page included because it's a tag page, or it's something that seems to have problems at times, but it's not important to me. So we don't want that to take up one of the 20 slots. By default, we do the home page, a random page, a random post, a random tag page. That's kind of how we do it. But you can X out those and literally stack in put in what you want to.
Got it.
The other area, which I think is really cool, is there is and by the way, that is plugin aware for two plugins. So for like WooCommerce and the events calendar, it will actually automatically include like the events archive page and then an event detail page. Okay. And if it's WooCommerce, it'll include the shop page, and there's a number of pages that it will automatically include. And we're going to be building that out to more plugins. Again, we kind of have a good repository of information on not only what breaks, but what plugins people are using across a lot of different sites. Mm-hmm. But the other functionality that's in there is if there is a plugin that's been directly modified, or it always breaks when let's say, hey, WooCommerce, or, I'm not to pick on WooCommerce, but this plugin, when it's updated, it always seems to break the site. Maybe it's a problem with the theme. There's just an issue. And so we don't want that included. Even in the Visual Validator updates, there is a place for you to say, I don't want this included. Let's do this manually, once a month, or we'll let you know when you can update this. But you could basically exclude it from our daily Visual Validator updates.
Got it. Nice.
So
yeah. I'm just wondering, with the dashboard, do I have the capacity to sort of interact with the stuff that's shown on the dashboard? So, for example, in the case of the backups, it's listing all the backups and what have you, and times that they were taken, and so on and so forth. Do I have access to those? Could I, for example, download them? Should I? I mean, the whole service that you provide, I guess the idea is that you don't need to, but can you?
Yeah, so in the dashboard, we're a bit limited in what is exposed to us by Blog Vault for backup specifically. And so that, again, on the roadmap, we've had those discussions, and that will happen. What we can give you is we can set you up as a collaborator, though, so that you do have access to do that directly in Blog Vault.
Okay. So we're kind of at the point now where we've worked out what it is that you do. We've worked out what it is that you're capable of doing and what have you. Should you sign up. But I think the one one thing which intrigues me most of all about this, the bit that I like the best, is the white labeling option that you provide, because a lot of people would be very nervous to kind of represent their brand. We're going to build this wonderful website where, we can do all of this amazing stuff, this great WordPress technology to build what you've got, and then kind of feel that they were sort of selling themselves a bit short. Should they then say, and we're going to go to this third-party service to do all this updating and what have you? Because it just feels a bit weird. So you've got the white label option, and is that like from head to toe, white label everything, no trace of GoWP at all?
Yes, that is correct. And we there's really two different types of white labeling. So, we've talked about the maintenance side. So the maintenance dashboard, this plugin that is installed, there is a hidden tab where the agency can go in and make that their own. By default, it's just very generic maintenance. And so it says maintenance dashboard. And, there is Weird GoWP is not exposed in any way, but there's a place for you to go and add your logo. This maintenance dashboard becomes the agency's maintenance dashboard that the client can see. So there's white labeling built into that. And then we have the white label email workflow. So the white label email workflow is primarily used when someone is not just on a maintenance plan, they're also on a maintenance and support or content edits plan as well. So, for example, you as the agency owner has a client, Bob, and Bob is updating their website. They know how to go in and add a blog post, but that's not the best use of their time. Install, configure plugins, troubleshoot something, whatever it is. You can do that, but again, that's not the best use of your time. So this is where you would set up, support at youragency.com or web updates at youragency.com, and then that would be forwarded to a mailbox that we have created on our side in our help desk system, so that when Bob emails you about adding a blog post, it comes directly to your mailbox on our side. Our 24/7 team would kind of jump on that, and they would respond back to Bob and say, "Hey, Bob, your blog post has been added," and that would go back out through your support at your agency email address.
Interesting. Do you in those emails, do you take on any of the branding within the actual email itself? So, for example, do you customize the footer of the replies that come from your staff, or is it just like a plain text email with?
No, you can customize that. So it can include your signature. You can specify the signature, and then you also, the auto reply. And so like the auto reply when a ticket has been submitted or a task or request has been submitted, we can customize what your client receives back so that it takes on your tone.
Fantastic. That's great. The one of the things that I was interested, and I presume from everything that you've said that this is not yet a feature, but I wondered if it ever would become a feature. A lot of the companies that you use these days have, let's go for the biggest, the gorilla in the room would be Intercom. They have this sort of chat widget embedded. Yep. I was just wondering if that was something that you were looking at, for, broadening it instead of just being email. If at some point in the future you were going to do chat support white labeled. I don't know how that would work. Even that would be really complicated.
Yeah, and even with phone, we don't have a great way to white label that. So agencies have access to call us, but they're in clients right now. I don't have a good way to white label that, so we don't. The real time support is different. That's a little bit harder to implement. It's you really managing the resources, managing the great staff that we have, and being able to make sure everyone is kind of fully utilized and able to take the time to provide the best support they can. We kind of have it. There's a difference in customer support and technical support or WordPress support that we're providing. So we do have like a drift widget on our site if there are account issues for the agency. But even if a client was asking us to add a blog post or asking even in some cases a question, we kind of have to research that. Very rarely is it going to be something that we're just going to have a quick response that we can deliver over chat. It's something that we kind of need to dig into and get back to them on. So we haven't done that because it's more, it's a technical support service as opposed to that takes time as opposed to just a kind of quick hit customer service. But it is something that we have talked about. We've had bigger companies like hosting providers and others saying, hey, I'd like your resources to be available for our support staff. And so we've even explored that, and we may come up with some solutions for that. I mean, we've got a fantastic team, and there's a lot of different ways we could leverage that to help people, and that's what we want to do. But we have to do it. One thing that I love, and I have to put in a plug for Lucas Karpiak, he's our director of maintenance, and he and I have worked together for 10 years, and he really leads all of the dev side of what we do. And something that he's really good about is this scalable? We don't want to do something that might help one agency one time, but then as we try to do it for other agency, it causes problems for them, their clients. And so we're very careful before we roll out stuff like that. But it's definitely something we've talked about.
Yeah. I was just wondering if the sort of strange boundary between some kind of... So let's say, for example, that I set up support at wpbuilds.com and I configure it in such a way that you guys are the recipients of that email address. Is there a way that I can... How to describe this? Filter emails that are egressing towards you, and in some way like keep some to myself. So as an example, just some kind of quirky email that comes from a client, which is really not a support request. It has no bearing on anything. And it essentially just requires some kind of personal reply of, no, we don't do that, or whatever. In other words, the content of the reply to that email is only known by me. You would not know the answer to it because it's So is there a way to kind of get involved in that email exchange in some way?
Yeah, it's another fantastic question, and it's something that comes up a good bit. So again, there are really two ways to handle that. The first is we can filter things for you. So if you're sending support to us, our team can take on what we take on, and we'll never go back to your client and say, hey, you sent us something that's out of scope. We would always forward that to you, the agency owner, and say, hey, Nathan, your client asked us about, SEO strategy, and that's not something we do.
Right.
Thought you want to follow up with them. And so that's a very common workflow, is that agencies send everything to us. We take on what we can, and so we're the screen for them, so that they don't have to spend their time filtering out email messages. They just get the items that they need to work on. And again, it's all that, let us take the lower value work so you can focus on the higher value. Okay. And so that's one way to handle it. We do have some agencies that have 10 account managers, and each of those account managers handles 5 or 6 clients each. And what they want is they want everything to go to the account manager, and then the account manager kind of filters that out and says, okay, I'm going to leverage the in-house team, or maybe I'm going to do this myself, but these things I'm going to send to GoWP, and then they send it that way. And we have had a few. It can be tricky to get our help desk system to work with other help desk systems, but it's something that I'm always happy to look at and see if there's a automated way we can get that as well, so that if you're using like a teamwork desk, you can say, all right, well, this is something for this developer, but this task goes to GoWP, and you can send it that way. So that's an option as well. And then one other way is within the client portal that I mentioned, where you can order new services. There's actually a support tickets area where you can see all of the tickets that have been submitted by your clients.
Nice.
Yeah, and so you can jump in there as the agency owner if you need to.
Oh, perfect. Well, I just think that's everything about that answer was exactly what I would have wanted to have heard. In other words, the process could simply be you get everything, you filter out what the terms and conditions that you've got in terms of what you'll provide. I presume are very clear upon sign up, and then you'll just push the stuff that you can't get involved with. SEO was a great example, back at me, and I can then deal with those things. That's perfect.
Right.
So the $10,000 question, probably not, is pricing. As with all these things, there's got to be a price involved. So I'm wondering, I'm going now to gowp.com/pricing. And on there, you'll see a whole bunch of things. Immediately, I can see that there are two different features, different plans. There's the maintenance plan, labeled at $29 per month as of the time of recording. And then there's the maintenance and unlimited content edits plan at $79. And you can see the usual thing, pricing table with a few things knocked off the cheaper plan. But you can look at that for yourself. Are there options above and beyond those? For example, if I was a big hitter, a huge agency, can I bring my custom pricing to bear on you?
Yeah, so we actually do volume discounts based on the quantity of sites that you add. And so, yes, we have customers with over 500 sites. And so we have customers with 5 sites. And so we can kind of work with anyone wherever you are. The more sites you add on a subscription, the more the lower the price gets per site. So
okay, this is great. I mean, what a lovely product. The sort of thing that makes you sleep better at night. Is there anything that you disallow on your platform? So, for example, have there ever been situations where my chief things that I'm thinking about are there any plugins which you just say, no, we're just not getting involved with that one. It has a history of being diabolically it just goes wrong all the time.
I mean, I could probably name some, yes, but we actually we take that pain on. So
really, okay,
we don't disallow. I can't think of a plugin we disallow. I will say. Multisite is maintenance for multisite can be an issue. So providing content edits for multisite is usually not a problem. Each subsite would need a subscription, but maintenance can be a problem because in some cases, us providing maintenance, even if we're doing, plug-in troubleshooting during waking hours, right? When a lot of people are on sites, you may have that if we're deactivating a plugin or we're temporarily to check something out, we don't want that to impact hundreds or thousands of sites across the multi-site network. So multi-site right now for maintenance, we don't provide, but we will do content edits on that.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, there have been some, one or two hosting providers that have very locked down workflows.
That was my next question. Yeah.
Yeah. And the good news is we're piloting right now a way around that where we kind of, I'll throw out like Pantheon's dev test production workflow that they have, and then they have the multi-dev environments. We're actually testing a workflow now that will work on that. And so I think that should clear up any of the hosting providers. I can't think of another hosting provider now that we would not be able to support. But for the most part, we're doing our maintenance and we're doing our content edits in the live environment. But again, if there's some like a unique workflow required, we probably have a way to address that. So I wouldn't let the hosting provider be a barrier. It's something we can talk.
So it is basically whatever you've got, however old it is, whatever state it's in, bring it and we will work with it, which is a really nice offer. Yeah, I think that's probably everything that I was going to ask. I can't think of anything else at the moment. Oh no, there is one final thing, and it's not really a question. It's more of an opinion from you. One of the things that people, I'm sure, will be very concerned about, because they always are when they're taking on a service like yours, is longevity, stability. You don't want to go to a company and give them all of the maintenance of all of your WordPress websites, fearing that 2 years from now that company will disappear. You've obviously been at it for 5 years, and whilst I don't want to know numbers or anything like that, are you bullish about GoWP's future?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we've been growing at a pretty healthy clip every year, and this year we'll grow at a very healthy clip. I imagine we'll bring on possibly as many as 10 plus staff over the course of this year.
Nice.
We're going to be kind of expanding some of the offerings that we do to help agencies even more. So even things that not necessarily directly related to maintenance and support, but still things that agencies are spending money on and need help with and have challenges with in the course of their everyday life. And so I don't know that I've ever been more bullish about the life of the company. And that being said, we had an agency for 10 years. And so this GoWP came out of a lot of the challenges and needs that we had as an agency. Mm-hmm. And so, so that's since 2004 we've been doing this, and Lucas and I have been doing it together for 10 plus years now. And so, yeah, we're here for the long haul, and that's. There are a lot of services out there, especially direct to site owners, that say, hey, bring us your WordPress site and we'll do this. And there are a lot of fly-by-night companies. And unfortunately, and it's true in SEO, and it's can be true in hosting even, but we see it a lot. There's kind of a low barrier to entry to say that you're a WordPress maintenance or support service and use a tool and go out and do it. That is definitely something that should be evaluated very carefully when choosing to work with someone. But yeah, we're here for the long haul and interested in the longer working relationship.
Well, good to hear. Final thing, obviously, if you go to GoWP.com, we've mentioned that URL already, but if you have any other URL, resource, Twitter handle, anything that you want to mention, the floor is yours.
Oh, great. Yes. So Twitter, GoWP support. And then we have a Facebook group. Something that we've found is that most of the agencies that are very successful with our service and tend to be successful just as an agency are ones that have niched down to a particular industry or a type of customer that they focus on. And so we are building a community out around that. So you can find us on Facebook at the Niche Agency Owners Community. So just do a search on that, GoWP Niche Agency Owners Community. You don't have to be a current customer to join that. But the goal there is to help agency owners niche down originally, but also continue building a successful niche agency. So we'll have lots of resources and people in that group to bounce around ideas and help you. And then we'll be spinning up the podcast related to that very soon. So, but yeah, Twitter, GoWP support, and then on Facebook, the Niche Agency Owners Group.
And always, as I said, go to GoWP.com just basically to find out anything about what it is that GoWP do. Thank you so much for giving me lots of your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on the podcast, Nathan. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I hope that you enjoyed that. It was very enjoyable chatting to Brad about GoWP. They do offer a really amazing service. I think it's just such an interesting area, and it seems to be a bit of a growth area. So if you are worrying about your WordPress care plans and you think to yourself, this is not really something that I wish to be too involved in, I'd rather pay somebody to do it, you can click on the link in the show notes and go and check out all about GoWP, what they can offer and how they can help you out. The WP Builds podcast was brought to you today by A/B Split Test. Do you want to set up your A/B split tests in record time? The new A/B Split Test plugin for WordPress will have you up and running in a couple of minutes. Use your existing pages and test anything against anything else. Buttons, images, headers, rows, anything. The best part is it works with Elementor, Beaver Builder and the WordPress block editor. Go check it out and get a free demo at absplittest.com. Okay, like I said at the start of the podcast, we'll be back here next Thursday for a podcast. This time it'll be a debate between David Wormsley and I, but Monday, 7 a.m. UK time. You don't have to listen to it then because it'll be on your podcast player if you subscribe, but that'll be the WordPress Weekly News. If you want the live version, that's 2 p.m. UK time, and also 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. That will be the live version of Sabrina and I trying to go from 0 to 10,000 installs. Right, the only thing I need to do now is fade in some cheesy music and say have a good week. Bye-bye for now.